Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Jesse with Connects High Performance, and today I'll be reacting to world champion wide receiver for, can't say the name without getting copywritten, but he's a wide receiver for the world champions, and we're going to check out his workout right now. So let's get into it. Here we go. So far, looks really well produced. I like it. I wish I could hire somebody to do that for me. Oh, I see some good stuff on here so far. Okay, warm up. What do we got for warm up? Unilateral poker. Oh, Kobe's reverse Grinches. Love it. Let's see, hold on. Let's go back to that real quick. Sorry, got caught up with the Kobe's. All right. Guess I'll have some unilateral hops. Okay, trunk openers. I like those. Okay, calf raises. Bilateral pogos. Oh, love these tees. Prone tees. And then it looks like some shoulder wrist openers. Oh, really love those W's. So spending a lot of time on this T-spine here. Whoa. Kaiser power squats. Love these a lot. So Kaiser equipment, your resistance is air. So all those reps right there, he's pushing up against air. Okay, 3 reps of those. I like that. Okay. Obviously the best thing to do if you are an athlete, gotta practice on the field. But oh, check out that triple extension out of that. Fantastic work. He's getting some good extension out of all 3, ankles, hips, and knees. Did you hear it? Well, you guys can't hear it. He's literally talking about training the legs, and those are the most important thing. Oh, lower body's so important. Smart guy. Ooh. Hamstring rotations. He's working in a transverse plane here. So if you're an open skilled sport player, just like a football guy, you are moving in 360. So you want your hamstrings not just to stretch in a linear fashion. This rotation is a very good variation. So freaking awesome here. Rotating both directions. Oh, that's a staple. Particularly for my higher level guys. We're always doing these Kaiser anti-rotational presses. 3 sets of 8. Okay, so depending on how he does these, so that's good for the core. I would give it like a B. This one is more for his shoulders and arms. If he were to walk laterally, rotate, would make it a lot better for the core itself. But really good anti-rotational movement. Boxing. Let's pause there for 1 second. So boxing is fantastic for a pro athlete. I can only assume that this is in his off season here, because when you weight train in the off season, you're going to get a lot of fatigue accumulated in the lower half. So we're doing a lot of heavy lifts. We're doing a lot of volume in the lower half to get bigger, faster, stronger. Now, you also want to keep up your cardiovascular or endurance system. And one of the best ways to do that is boxing, because there's very little to no load on the lower half, but it's a very cardiovascular centric workout, and you get a lot of good hand fighting, explosive movements. You can learn that skill for receiver. It transfers pretty darn well to his sport. There you go. Oh, he just said it. It's another way for him to do cardio without putting a lot of stress on his joints. So A+ on that. Okay. Dumbbell bench press. Okay. Love it. I mean, it's a staple. He wants to look good, he said. Check out how he's lifting it. Okay, that's a closer grip. That's going to be a little bit less on the chest, more on the delts and the triceps. I can only imagine his coach would tell him to do that, because the transferability to football is going to be a lot greater with that than doing a traditional 45-degree angle with your arms. Okay, that's his upper body. What we got? Oh, hip thrusts. Hip thrusts, 3 sets of 8. Okay, love hip thrusts. The reason why I love them is because if you're trying to activate your glutes, one of the best lifts for the glutes is going to be a hip thrust. For football players who take a lot of beating throughout the season, I think you mentioned earlier, this one is like the week leading up to the Super Bowl or something. The big game. I'll have to bleep that out. So the week leading up to the big game, you don't want to put a lot of stress on the central nervous system. Hip thrusts are fantastic for getting that glute activation without putting a lot of load on the spine. So I like this programming here. Not too fond of the rep scheme, but get into that a little bit later. So he's doing unilateral. Okay, unilateral. Okay, good execution. Oh, it's bilateral. Okay, so he's doing both bilateral and unilateral. Pretty awesome. Oh, there's another wide receiver workout. Oh, biceps. Okay, good. Hip thrusts going everywhere. Good choice, coach. Single leg extensions, 3 by 8. Okay, so I like these a lot, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Leg extensions get a bad name in internet fitness, but we'll talk about that shortly. Oh, how's it there? Those Kobe's are clean. What do you think? Do you think he wore those just for this video, or he just has $300 in cash to throw around and grab some Kobe's and start lifting in them? I don't know. I probably wouldn't use them to the gym. Clean. Okay. It's a big dude, man. What else we got? Kettlebell swings. Kettlebell swings. Says he likes to go heavy. Okay, so execution on this could use a little bit of work. We're doing a little bit of a squat. So a kettlebell swing, we really want to work mostly your posterior chain. So he is doing the squat variation. Whenever you squat like that, you're going to take a little bit away from the posterior chain, put more on the anterior chain. So maybe his coaches have him doing this. We don't know for sure. But if we were to do just the traditional kettlebell swing, we would want to keep the legs a little bit straighter. And it looks like that is all they got. Okay. That's great. All right. So let's break it down a little bit. So let's take a look and see what I liked, didn't like, and whether it's a kinetics high, mid, or low performance program. First up, we had some pogos, both unilateral and bilateral. So I love this. Plyometric work primes the nervous system and increases internal body temperature. I specifically love these because they'll help maintain his Achilles tendon stiffness and resilience to injury. Then we have some dynamic stretching, which is far better to priming the body for performance than static stretching. So good work there. Particularly the thoracic spine. That's often neglected, so great work there. He was doing a lot of T's, some prone T's, some prone W's, everything that really opens up that spine. If you're a wide receiver, really good to do, especially if you want a large catch radius. Now let's take a look at the exercise order. If we were to take that at face value, we've got Kaiser power squats for 4 sets of 3 reps. Now this is a great way to start. With that warm-up, he's primed and ready to produce maximal force quickly. Now he's going to have very minimal fatigue, meaning he'll be able to give his highest output to these squats. That's a pro move right there. Next, we have sort of a rotating hamstring stretch for 3 sets of 5 per side. Again, for open skilled sports where our movements are reactionary and performed in multiple planes, exposing the hamstrings to the different planes will help maintain tissue resilience. That's another pro level move. And then we have another one of my favorite movements using the Kaiser machine. Kaiser anti-rotation with a press. 3 sets of 8. For an athlete that absorbs contact or needs to redirect his own force quickly, these are pretty invaluable. Now, again, a pro move here. And then next, he mentions boxing. So I can only assume he does this in the off season, which is totally awesome. During the off season, we're focused on building muscle, strength, and power, as we talked about. With that, the lower body endures plenty of load, so finding something that trains the cardiovascular system without accumulating more fatigue to the lower half is a really intelligent thing to do. Next up, we have a dumbbell flat bench. He's doing 4 sets of 5 reps. So that's perfectly in line with keeping intensity at about 85 to 90% for building strength while keeping systemic fatigue low, particularly this late in the season. It's also important to note the degree of adduction in his arms. His positioning has more transferability to football, so if he's talking about trying to look good, his coaches did a great job programming with specificity to football. Next, so before you think I'm just glazing the world champion coaches, I don't necessarily agree with the hip thrusts. Now, inherently, nothing wrong with 3 sets of 8, both unilaterally and bilaterally. In fact, hip thrusts are the best lift to maximize glute activation and offer 0 spinal loading like in squats or deadlifts. Where I would change it up is the 8 reps. That would be roughly 80% intensity, which that's too low for maximizing the most high threshold motor units to build maximum force, but it's also too high to train rate of force development. So it's best for hypertrophy, which I think at this point in the season isn't a priority. So this is more mid-level thinking at best. And then next, he has unilateral leg extensions for 3 sets of 8. Now I know leg extensions get a lot of hate from the functional crowd, and lots of coaches saying how it's not advantageous for athletes that move through space. But frankly, they're all wrong. I mean, he said he's just doing it to keep his quads strong, which I interpret as tissue resilience. Now, 3 sets of 8 is a fine intensity and volume scheme, and in fact, the rectus femoris is the only quad to cross the hip, meaning that it's getting very little work during a squat. So with leg extensions, on the other hand, train the entire group very effectively. And lastly, heavy kettlebell swings. He's doing 4 sets of 6, again, good intensity and volume programming here. A main point here is I would switch up the execution just a little bit. He's performing more of the squat variation versus a hinge variation. Essentially, squatting decreases the posterior chain activation. Now, is it wrong? No, it's just not optimal for the presumed hamstring and glute activation. And I believe it is for the posterior chain due to the previous exercise being quad isolation. So, okay. So my final thoughts are that in the context of being in season, it being 1 day out of a multi-day program, I give it a Kinetics high performance workout. What did you guys think of AJ's workout? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video. And if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel for more reaction content and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.